Good morning and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this third day of the third month of 2023. Well, that's right, 3rd of March. And a beautiful day out here in Brisbane and 25 degrees and mostly cloudy. But at the moment, it is nice and sunny from where I sit out there across the valley. Looking beautiful this morning. 25 degrees is quite pleasant, I must say. Well, actually, for me it is. Well, ladies and gentlemen, on this Friday, we have for you the daily news update and, of course, our daily India report. Let's get into the read. Well, Rajbinder Singh has been charged with one count of murder.
Well, Rawinda Singh boarded a charter flight from Melbourne to Cairns yesterday and he arrived here at about 1 p.m. He was met on the tarmac by about a dozen Queensland police officers, including Detective Inspector Sonia Smith, who's been spearheading Toyah Cordingley's murder investigation for the last 4 years. He was led into the back of a police wagon and taken to the Cairns Watch House, where he is right now and is expected to appear in the Cairns Magistrates Court this morning after being charged with murder last night. Now, this has been a very long and protracted police investigation. Toyah Cordingley's body was found on Wongatty Beach, just north of Cairns, in October 2018. Rawinda Singh is alleged to have left the country in the days after her body was found. She'd been walking her dog, Indy. Now, he was arrested late last year by Indian authorities, about 3 weeks after the Queensland government posted a $1 million reward leading for any information that would lead to his successful arrest. Now, that reward still hasn't been paid out, but $1 million in India, that's worth about $25 million in the local currency. That's generational wealth. Now, he was handed over to Australian authorities earlier this week after waiving his right to contest the extradition. He told authorities that he wants to come back to Australia and he did not commit the crime.
Have we heard from Toyah Cordingley's family?
Yes, we have. Well, Detective Inspector Sonia Smith addressed the media yesterday and she read out a statement from Toyah Cordingley's parents. Vanessa Gardner, Toyah's mother, said, "I am so relieved to have this person back here in Queensland. We thank the community for the ongoing love and support throughout these difficult times." And from her father, Troy, "I will continue to stay as strong as I can until we reach some sort of justice for my beautiful girl." Now, as I mentioned, Rawinda Singh does maintain his innocence. He has now been charged with murder and he's expected to appear at the Cairns Magistrates Court here later today.
They reckon that justice shall be done and in any case, it always must be delivered. Right now, what is happening with the weather? There's so much talk about the climate change, the ever-changing weather. Where are we headed to? El Nino or El Niño?
Yeah, well, we had a bit of everything, of course, over the summer. Across the north, really wet, big monsoon season, flooding up there in the Kimberley, in communities in central Australia, in Queensland as well. Flooding early on the Darling River, Murray River, into South Australia, Menindee in New South Wales, of course. Heat waves, fires as well in WA and in New South Wales and recently in Victoria here, and even a bit of snow in December and February as well.
Wild. Really one of everything for Australia. Hey, I want to talk a little bit about where we're at right now, because of course we've got this flooding situation going on in the Territory caused by a tropical low rather than a cyclone, but we're still very much in the monsoon season, right? Is there any indication about how that's going to extend into the middle of the year?
Yeah, well, of course, the monsoon season typically ends around April, and hence we expect to see fewer tropical cyclones then. The tropical low, yeah, you can see it on the weather map at the moment, or the satellite map, rotating around up there off the Northern Territory. So keeping an eye out for those communities up there, it really is a big problem. And it's coming on the back of very wet conditions over quite a long time there up in Northern Australia.
Yeah, so normally in a La Nina year we'd expect to see more cyclones than normal, right? But hasn't really panned out that much so far, but the season's not over yet.
Yeah, well, February, March is typically the peak of the tropical cyclone season, not necessarily the end. And our friends over in Vanuatu have just had well, they're having 2 tropical cyclones within 3 days hit the island. So it is quite active out there and across Northern Australia, like you say, with that tropical low at the moment. So tropical lows, tropical cyclones, they both do damage.
Okay, autumn. Let's talk. Let's start temperature. Oh, actually, no, let's start with rainfall, because that's the thing that's really been bothering people, particularly in the east. The 3 years of La Nina. What are we expecting this autumn?
Well, we've actually got our driest outlook for autumn that we've issued since 2019. So, yeah, looking quite dry across much of the country, as you can see, particularly across in the west and in central parts of Australia as well. Bit less along the east coast and down into parts of Tasmania as well, but generally dry, nothing like the maps we've seen the last 3 years.
Yeah, so is that little strip along the east coast just because of the sort of lingering La Nina, what's left of it?
Look, it's really just a little area that you may see a little bit more of the easterly flow, a little bit more of the winds coming off the Tasman Sea, which is reasonably warm at the moment. So, yeah, they might do a little better, but inland, looking pretty dry at the moment. Let's
talk temperatures. Is it going to be a hot autumn or a cold autumn, or just absolutely standard?
Well, I think autumn's usually pretty mild. So, yeah, look, we're looking at warmer than normal daytime temperatures in particular across much of the country. Again, those areas that might get a little more rain along the coast could be a little cooler. And minimum temperatures, though, looking generally warmer around the coast into WA, but a bit cooler inland.
La Nina, El Nino or neutral? Where are we headed?
Neutral for autumn is most likely. Things are warming up in the tropical Pacific, though, so we just need to keep an eye out for what may happen over winter and spring.
Right, but most of the models are indicating that El Nino is a possibility, yeah?
Well, the Bureau hasn't quite gone to El Nino watch just yet, which is when there's about a 50% chance. A bit of the wrong time of year. Hard to make forecasts right now, but we're certainly keeping a close eye on it.
So there's a 50% chance, as you mentioned. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we are headed for. And as we head into autumn of 2023. Right now, Deputy PM is talking about the AUKUS deal. Where are we up to that? Are we very close to getting the signature on the dotted line?
And we might talk a little about Avalon in a moment, but why don't we go to Peter Dutton's remarks. He points out that there are risks with the first model of a new type of production run, and he still strongly favours the US Virginia class subs for AUKUS. Isn't he right? Would you want to buy the first Toyota Corolla out of a 500,000 production run?
Well, it obviously raises the question about what on earth the government was doing in relation to the attack class program, if that was their view. So it's kind of an insightful critique on the failures of the former government over the last 10 years, which has indeed led to a lost decade at a time when we couldn't deal with it as a nation, and that is what we've inherited in terms of this program, in terms of trying to deal with potential capability gaps. But look, I mean, I'm limited in what I can say. We are at a point where it won't be long before we are making the announcement about what the optimal pathway will look like. The opposition leader is obviously giving comments based on confidential advice he was provided almost a year ago. A lot of water has gone under the bridge since then. We're mindful of the issues that have been raised, but people need to wait and see what is ultimately announced.
Well, it sounds like there's an implied criticism by you of the mere fact that he's making these disclosures a year on, but can I sort of refine the question a little? He has said, to be fair to Peter Dutton, he said he'll support whatever sub-decision the government comes up with. Do you nevertheless, though, feel his remarks have been in any way unsettling in the perception that it might create with the AUKUS partners of breakdown of bipartisanship in this country?
Look, I think it is really important that there is bipartisanship. I'm confident, obviously, that our partners in the United Kingdom and the United States are completely sure about where we stand on this and know that there is full government support in relation to it. I think they would obviously understand that the former government initiated the process, and I do accept what the Leader of the Opposition has said, that the Opposition will provide support to whatever we announce in the near term. But I'm not sure that speculation of this kind helps right now. We are really very much on the verge of an announcement, and I think what matters now is when that announcement's made, making sure that enjoys the support of the full spectrum of politics in Australia.
And what will you do to manage that? Because I know Labor were critical of the briefings given to it on the eve of the original AUKUS announcement. When will you brief the opposition and others ahead of this month's announcement on the pathway?
Yeah, I mean, we will work with the opposition and make sure that they are appropriately briefed in respect of the announcement. We have obligations to our partners in terms of where we're at here, and so we need to bear that in mind as well. But we will absolutely make sure that there is an appropriate briefing of the opposition.
And you say you're on the verge.
And there will be an appropriate information being shared with the opposition and with the rest of Australia as well, as it's mentioned, because that is very, very important, the absence of which causes a lots of problems. Ladies and gentlemen, right now it's time to go to our daily India report.
Welcome to the Daily India Report that brings you reports, interviews, features and more on India and the Indian diaspora. Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar held important bilateral meetings with foreign ministers of Russia, the United Kingdom, Argentina, Turkey and Brazil, among others, a day before the G20 foreign ministers meeting on March 2nd. Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. Subramaniam Jaishankar held a number of bilateral meetings ahead of the foreign ministers' meet, stressing the need for a consensus document to arise from the global economic body that includes 20 of the world's most developed and developing countries. The minister said that he had a wide-ranging discussion with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, where they exchanged views on India-Russia bilateral cooperation and G20 issues. Jaishankar is also expected to hold talks with Chinese Foreign Minister Qin Gang on March 2nd, during Qin's first visit to India in this capacity. He is travelling to New Delhi amidst a military standoff at the line of actual control which has been continuing since April 2020. Jaishankar also met with the ministers of United Kingdom, Argentina, Nigeria, Mexico, the Netherlands, European Union High Representative Josep Borrell and the African Union Chair, who is also the Foreign Minister of Comoros, on March 1st. On February 28th, Jaishankar met with the foreign ministers of Turkey and Brazil. Brazil and Indonesia, which form the troika of the immediately previous and future G20 chairs, are seen as important partners for India in trying to bridge the divides between members over the G20 agenda, and Jaishankar noted that he discussed the issues coming up at the foreign ministers' meeting with Brazilian FM, Mauro Vieira. India continues to march towards self-reliance in defence. India's Union Cabinet has approved the procurement by Indian Air Force of 70 HTT-40 basic trainer aircraft from Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's cabinet approved the procurement of 70 HTT-40 basic trainer aircraft from Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. The approval was given to the Indian Air Force. The procurement would cost around Rs 6,828 crores. The aircraft will be supplied over a period of 6 years. The HTT-40 is a turboprop aircraft designed to have good low-speed handling qualities and provide better training effectiveness. It has a fully aerobatic tandem seat turbo trainer with an air-conditioned cockpit, modern avionics, hot refueling, running changeover and 0-0 ejection seats. The aircraft is expected to meet the shortage of basic trainer aircraft of the IAF required for training newly inducted pilots. The aircraft, being an indigenous solution, is configurable for upgrades to incorporate the futuristic requirements of the IAF. The procurement will include associated equipment, training aids and simulators. The HTT-40 contains around 56% indigenous content, which would increase to over 60% through the indigenization of major components and subsystems. The HAL would engage Indian private industry, including MSMEs, in its supply chain. The acquisition of the HTT-40 provides a fillip to the Indian aerospace defense ecosystem by boosting efforts towards Atmanirbhar Bharat. In a related story, the Indian Army is also beefing up its armada using indigenously made howitzer guns. The Indian Army is expected to order 307 ATAGS howitzers developed by Indian Defence Research and Development Organisation (DRDO). These guns will be deployed along the borders with China and Pakistan. In a major boost to the Modi government's Make in India initiative in the defence sector, the Ministry of Defence has received a proposal from the Indian Army to buy 307 advanced towed artillery gun systems for deployment along the borders with China and Pakistan. The proposal, worth over $1 billion, has been received from the Indian Army and is under discussion. It is expected to be cleared soon and sent for clearance by the Cabinet Committee on Security. This would be the first order for the indigenous howitzer, which can strike targets at around 50 kilometers and is believed to be the best gun in its class. The forces have been conducting trials of the gun in different altitudes and terrain. They have been upgraded as per the suggestions made by the users. The technology and know-how of the raw howitzer have been shared with two private firms, Tata Advanced Systems and Bharat Forge Group, by Defence Research and Development Organisation, and they would be supplying the system to the forces, including over 320 high-mobility vehicles. The trials of the 155 mm 52 caliber advanced towed artillery gun system were completed at the Pokhran Field Firing Range. The ATAGS is an indigenous towed artillery gun system project undertaken in mission mode by the DRDO as a part of the artillery modernization program of the Indian Army. Russia's Transmash Holding has come out as the lowest bidder for building 200 Vande Bharat train sets. It seeks to bring in sleeper versions of the marquee train, along with the current sitting-only types. Transmash Holding, Russia's largest rolling stock maker, has emerged as the lowest bidder for the tender to manufacture 200 Vande Bharat train sets in India. Transmash Holdings company, Metro Wagon Mash, in partnership with Indian Railway PSU Rail Vikas Nigam Limited, has quoted Rs 120 crores per train set, the lowest at a time when New Delhi is under pressure to reduce its trade ties with Moscow. Indian engineering major Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited and Kolkata-based Titagarh Wagons tie-up has emerged as the second lowest bidder, quoting Rs 139.8 crores per train set. The tender, the biggest Vande Bharat induction call in one go by India so far, seeks to bring in sleeper versions of the MARC train, along with the current sitting-only types. Opposition leaders from Congress, Samajwadi Party, RJD and National Conference came together to show their unity at the 70th birthday celebration of Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin held in Chennai. On the occasion of Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin's 70th birthday, major opposition party leaders showed their unity on the stage, which could give a sigh of relief to the Congress and some sleepless nights to the BJP. The occasion was marked not only by a show of strength by the key opposition leaders but also by their intentions to take on the BJP unitedly. The leaders included Bihar Deputy CM Tejasvi Yadav, Samajwadi Party leader Akhilesh Yadav, National Conference leader Farooq Abdullah and others who all agreed to work unitedly to stop the saffron surge. Jammu Kashmir National Conference President Farooq Abdullah said, "There are chances for the DMK top leader and Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin to become the Prime Minister if opposition parties come together and win the general election in 2024. Abdullah said Congress should forget about the Prime Minister's choice and focus only on winning the 2024 Lok Sabha polls. During his address, Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge said, all like-minded opposition parties must come together in this fight against divisive forces. That is our desire. I never said who will lead or who will become the Prime Minister. We are not telling who will lead or who is not going to lead. That is not the question. We want to fight together unitedly. That is our desire. Samajwadi Party leader Akhilesh Yadav praised DMK President and Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin and expressed confidence that Stalin will rise to national prominence. Indian all-rounder Ravindra Jadeja completed a historic double of 500 wickets and 5,000 runs in international cricket on March 1st. Jadeja became the second Indian after Kapil Dev to achieve the feat. Star Indian cricket all-rounder Ravindra Jadeja created history on March 1 as he became the second Indian after World Cup winning legendary captain Kapil Dev to complete a double of 500 wickets and also scored 5,000 runs for India. 34-year-old Jadeja achieved this feat during the first day of the third test match of the Border Gavaskar Trophy at Holkar Stadium in Indore. Jadeja, who is currently playing his 63rd test for India, dismissed Australian opening batter Travis Head on the fourth ball of his first over to complete 500 wickets in international cricket, and by doing so, he completed the double of 5,000 runs and 500 wickets. Jadeja has been on fire for Team India in the 2023 Border Gavaskar Trophy against Australia. The star player has made an excellent comeback after recovering from a knee injury that had kept him out of action since August 2022. The left-handed batting all-rounder has played in a total of 63 tests, 171 ODIs and 64 T20Is for India, in which he has so far scored 2,623, 2,447 and 457 runs respectively. Filmmaker Nandita Das released the second trailer of her film Zuigato on March 1st. Kapil Sharma plays the lead in the film, which releases on March 17th. A second trailer for Nandita Das' film Zuigato was released on March 1. The film stars comedian actor Kapil Sharma and Shehana Goswami in the lead. Kapil plays a food delivery agent who takes up this new job after losing his position as the floor in charge at a factory. The trailer begins with Kapil trying his hands at the Zuigato app. He delivers food to different people at different places. Click selfies with them for a small extra amount, and the race for best rating keeps him on his toes 24/7. This marks Kapil's first drama after the comedy films Kis Kis Ko Pyar Karu and Firangi. Zuigato will make its debut in Indian theatres on March 17th. That's all for this bulletin of the Daily India Report.
And thank you very much, Simran, for that beautiful report. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was the Daily India Report brought to you by PIO TV, exclusive to Australian Indian Radio. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we head into the weekend, that's about all we have for you on this beautiful Friday, 25 degrees and mostly cloudy right here in Brisbane. Until the next time, it's goodbye from us.